episode number 13 of
What's Brewing, Sis?
What's Brewing, Sis? I am Shelly.
I'm Bianca.
And I'm Deonna. And here we come together to serve the brew.
Yes, we do. So last week's episode was so much fun.
Oh, yes.
You gotta
So
say so
much
much fun.
Yes.
So we
deep
did.
conversation about black to school.
We had a special guest.
Little Zoe.
Little Zoe was our special guest. Yeah. And she gave us her insight on being 7 and back to school.
Yes.
Zoe
She had a great time.
Yes. Zoe had a lot of questions. She was ready.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She's been trying to get on the podcast for a while. so she got on there and made her debut and didn't want to get moved from in front of the camera.
Right.
Well, I'm so happy that we invited her on the show. I think she did such a great job.
Absolutely.
Just know she's going to be asking when
Can I
can
go
she
back
come
to the
back.
show?
Right.
We're gonna
We're
figure
gonna
out
have
an
a segment
episode.
special for Zoe, so she
Yeah.
can tell us what's on the mind of a 7-year-old and how she's working through this world.
Yeah. Maybe after school starts, we'll be like, now that you're here, how's
How's it going?
Yeah.
Lots of great participation. We love doing the live. We get so many people giving their feedback and comments. We're hoping in our future live we can get some of you to actually come on camera. Don't be camera shy, guys.
Don't be shy. I love seeing the
Just
comments. And I love the questions that you guys ask. The Brew Crew is essentially another member sitting here at the table. So we want to hear what you guys think when we get it wrong, when we get it right. Yeah, girl, no, girl.
Yeah.
I'm with it. All of that. Because you guys are absolutely vital to the show. And we just love that you're here and you're watching and hopefully entertained by some of the stuff that we're talking about.
We appreciate you.
Yes,
you
we
and
do.
you.
You and you.
Thanks, Brew Crew.
Yes.
Thank you for joining in. And we want to bring up today's episode.
Yes, today's episode is Black Women in Therapy. Am I the problem? But before we start that episode, we're going to do a couple would you rather questions. So please, first of all, like, comment, and share. And then also
subscribe if you haven't
subscribed. And then for everybody that's listening on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, we thank you guys so much for all of the downloads that we have. We're actually celebrating our 100th download on those platforms. So please continue to listen to us.
Oh, yeah. Okay, you're right. I was like, wait.
Yes. And so please listen there. And we're going to be posting our new episodes on Sunday.
Yep.
So just make sure that you guys listen there. But also, yes, please like, comment, and subscribe.
Thank you.
So our Would You Rather game. Would you rather be able to fly one day or be completely invisible for one day?
I think I'd rather be able to fly.
I would go invisible.
Okay. I think I would fly. Yeah.
I'm afraid of heights. I ain't flying over.
You can fly a little low, you know.
Yes. So with your invisibleness, what would you be doing with it? What rooms would you be sneaking in?
I would like to be in a lot of the boardrooms with these companies to figure out how they're doing it. I would definitely love to be in the lottery office when they're pulling the numbers, so I know what the numbers are gonna be.
Oh goodness! That's a good one.
I don't want to say nothing like rob bank. I wouldn't rob bank. I'd be too guilty when I become invisible again.
Would you listen in on any conversations that you're not supposed to be of people that you know?
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think I would, because I feel like what people saying about me behind my back is none of my business.
Yeah. So type in the comments what you guys would rather on that one. Next one. Would you rather never use social media again or never watch another movie or TV show?
If it's between the two of them, I would have to say social media.
Okay.
That's tough. That's a tough one because I like to be entertained. So I don't know.
Both are entertaining.
Yeah. I think, being a latchkey kid, I watched a lot of TV growing up. So I don't know if I could give that up. Exactly. But there was a time in my life where social media wasn't a thing. Right. So it's like,
very true.
I'm without it. I'm without it.
Yeah. Okay. What about you, Deonna?
I think I'll give up the movie or TV because I don't really watch TV anyway. So.
Yeah, and that's ditto for me as well. I am not a TV watcher. And so that would be social media. I'm sorry, that would be never watch a TV
So
show
you wouldn't
again.
be able to watch stuff on YouTube. I just want to make sure y'all know. No Netflix,
Well,
no
it
YouTube.
doesn't say
social media.
Yeah, social media would be YouTube. Yeah, because I can't live without YouTube.
I can even live without YouTube though.
Yeah, I am.
Other than for what's worth, sis. But
right.
Why?
Okay. Next is: would you rather always be surrounded by annoying people or be alone for the rest of your life? Ooh.
So the option is only annoying people?
Yes, always be surrounded by annoying people. Okay, so it doesn't say like
only annoying people.
I'd probably take the annoying people than to be alone because it's like, who are you talking? I think about that movie. Remember that guy, Tom Hanks, and he had the basketball Wilson?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think about that, and it's like, are you gonna go crazy and start talking to basketball?
Yeah, she probably would. Yeah.
So
I guess the annoying people.
Annoying people. I would have to do annoying people too.
I would make fun of them.
So lonely.
I would make fun of them in my head, so I would be entertained.
Or they might not be as annoying
after a while.
Yeah.
Can't beat them, join them, start doing what they do. Maybe they'll stop.
Next, would you rather lose all of your money and valuables or lose all of the pictures you've ever taken? I can't believe this is tough. This is tough for you. Lose the pictures.
It's different for me because wait, is it just me losing the pictures?
Yes.
All the pictures you've ever taken.
Yes.
I don't know if I could give up my photos because money you could get back, memories you can't.
That's a good point. Yep, I had family that were in Hurricane Katrina, and man, devastated about those pictures. Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and we still have some that we can definitely hold on to, but those pictures meant so much.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot of my childhood photos. Mm-hmm. Like my aunt had a lot of photos that my grandmother had and that she had, and I lost a lot of those. And
if my brothers or my parents are watching this right now, everybody's cracking up because they have no pictures of me. They only all of my stuff is on film. My parents like to say, my brothers say that I'm adopted because of this, but yeah, I have not one baby picture. Not a baby, an infant, so I don't know what I look like as a child. Baby.
So it's okay. Auntie Vanessa don't have no baby.
Auntie Vanessa,
not
infant. They may start at like 2 maybe or 3. 3 is probably pushing it down. But no, so I can only imagine through Savannah what I might have looked like.
So where is the film?
I don't think they have it anymore. Film deteriorates after years, so I don't know if they necessarily have that. They don't.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to keep hope
alive. It's
okay. If there's anyone out there with an infant photo of Shelly, please send it to P.O. Box 6081.
Aurora, 60598.
We greatly appreciate it. There may be a cash reward.
They take pictures at the hospital. You don't think they have that?
You know what? That's never really even something I even thought. I was born in Chicago. See, they laugh at my pain. That's how we're having
this is why she needs therapy.
Yeah, this is why I need therapy. So what's you guys' answer?
I think I would lose my money and valuables because I could borrow money from people. I could get that money back. I can't get back my memories.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah.
What about you, Deonna?
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, first of all, I don't have a lot of physical pictures. Like a lot of my pictures are in my phone and stuff like that.
Well, those
digital
would be pictures.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I was saying. So, yeah.
You lose every picture in your phone and printed pictures.
Yeah,
and on your laptop and anywhere.
Yeah, I guess I'll lose my money and valuables and keep my pictures.
Oh, you sound so sad about that.
I've never even thought about keeping the pictures, maybe because of my traumatic experience with pictures. But I don't hold on to pictures like that. Mm-hmm. Even though I have 5,700 and blah pictures in my phone right now. But I just don't. I keep the memories inside. I would love to go back. It's very rare you'll find me like, oh my god, let me bring out the photo album and go through the pictures. I never do that.
I do it occasionally.
Because I have one what?
Yes, we don't have.
I do. I actually do. I have photo albums of everything. When Savannah was a baby, all that stuff. But I never necessarily go back and look at the pictures. I gotta hold on to the memories because even of the pictures that I have of my cousin, I really don't like look at them. I keep the memories. You know, there's always like that one moment that'll make me laugh or something like a merce, which is a funny inside story with me and her, a man purse. Those are the things I think of. I never really go back and say, oh, I want to go look at her pictures and da 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 da.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather die in 50 years with many regrets or die in 20 years with no regrets?
Die in 20 years with no regrets.
20 for me too. Would you rather have a head the size of a watermelon or have a head the size of a tennis ball?
I do watermelon. I have a big head now, so having a watermelon head, I'll be all right.
Yeah, because they didn't say what size watermelon, so they
could
come in
be
different
a baby
sizes.
Watermelon.
Yeah, I'll just go with the watermelon because the tennis ball is too small.
You be looking like the witch doctor guy to you.
Oh, God.
I'm Zika virus.
Watermelon too. No offense to anyone with Zika.
No offense.
Would you rather never be able to take an airplane again or never have internet access again?
Never take an airplane
again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You could drive anywhere in the U.S., so.
Yeah.
But what if you want to go outside?
Take a cruise. Get on a boat.
That'd be a long ride. You go so well. Like,
you could cruise. There are cruises to Europe. There are cruises to, all the saints.
Right. Are we cruising all the way to Africa, though? Like, the last time we did that, didn't go so well.
It didn't go so well for us last time that happened. I think I'm good cruising.
So we're saying internet? Is that what we were
I'm saying I would rather keep internet and get rid of plane rides.
I think so for me, too. I don't miss a plane ride. Last one. Would you rather be a wizard or be a vampire?
Neither. But I guess a wizard. So I want to go around drinking blood. Blood.
Deonna would probably be a vampire. She likes
wow.
She likes to be up at night. She sleeps in the day.
But my only source of nourishment is drinking blood.
Yeah, that would be.
I'd be a weak vampire.
I'm really thinking these answers through. I would just pick a wizard.
I'd rather bibbity bobbity boop.
Yeah, a wizard seems much more friendly.
Bibbity bobbity boo.
So before we get into the episode, I want to take a break and we can talk about our highlighted business of the week.
Yeah.
So we'll be back. Hey guys, hope you are enjoying the show so far. The highlighted business of the week is Haven Inspired. It's your safe haven within. From the comfort of your own home, you can learn the artistry of meditation. At Haven Inspired, you are taught how to meditate successfully. Just this weekend, we took a beginner's class and it was a success. We learned just how to breathe and focus through meditation. It was a much needed self-care break. Be sure to visit Haven Inspired on YouTube and subscribe to their channel. Also, be sure to check out their website at haveninspiredstyle.com. They have some really good merch. Follow them on Instagram or Facebook at Haven Inspired. Thanks so much, guys. Now back to the brew.
Welcome back, guys.
Yeah.
We're so glad to bring to you our highlighted business or organization of the week.
Yeah.
Definitely check them out. They have a lot of great things in store. So definitely check them out.
Yes.
And if you would like to be featured on our show, send us your product or your website information, and we'd be happy to highlight you.
Yes.
You can send us an email at what'sbrewingsis@gmail.com. You can send your products to our P.O. Box, P.O. Box 6081,
Aurora, Illinois.
60598.
Yes.
And we will open it live and feature your product. Make sure we get you out there. We definitely want to highlight businesses. That's kind of our thing. Since we're opening our business, we want to make sure that we highlight others. So it comes back to us tenfold.
It does.
But not just for that reason, but
yes, because
definitely.
the great thing about all of the products that we've highlighted, they've been absolutely amazing.
We actually use them.
We actually use them. From body care to tumblers, everything that you can imagine. And we are out here actually handcrafting. So yes, please support these businesses. They work extremely hard, and let them know that What's Brewing Sis sent you.
Yes,
absolutely.
So, cool.
So this week's episode, Black Women in Therapy.
Woo!
A lot to unpack. A lot to unpack here.
Is it me?
Is it me? Am I the problem?
Goodness.
I wanted to read off a little article I was reading. It said Black women are finally shedding the shame of therapy.
Okay.
A deep-rooted survival mindset may say otherwise, but there's no reason to suffer in silence anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot more Black women, Black people in general are more open about therapy, seeking therapy, talking about it. It used to be a stigma attached.
For sure.
Growing up, a lot of people be like, I ain't going to therapy. That's for white people or that's for rich people.
Mm-hmm.
It was a classism thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you would often find it only being used for like premarital therapy or this person might be a little crazy. Let's, have them talk to somebody. But it has always been the stigma attached where it's like something's wrong. Let's go to therapy. And sometimes I think more people are going to therapy when everything is right.
Yeah.
You just kind of want to lend your ear to somebody and talk to them about the good things going on in your life or the troubles that you might sometimes deal with. So it doesn't always have to be a problem to go to therapy.
Yeah. And a challenge doesn't necessarily mean that you're crazy. So I think that has also been associated with like people who go to therapy are insane. Like they have a mental health crises going on. But you don't have to be in crises. You should go seek therapy before you get to crisis mode.
Yeah.
But yeah, we all have challenges, and navigating certain challenges sometimes could be done more efficiently with professional help.
Yeah, definitely. So it was some data in here where it says Black Americans are 20% more likely than the rest of the population to develop serious mental health issues, but they're also more likely to be exposed to factors such as racism, historical trauma from the medical community, exclusion from health resources, food insecurity, poverty, and subjection to crime, among other things that increase their risk for developing a mental health condition.
Wow.
And also, not even that you necessarily have to develop a mental health condition, but being exposed to all of that kind of shifts how you think or see life or see other people.
For sure.
And can create some distrust in others.
Yeah.
A little paranoia, a little, trauma that may not be on the scale of having a mental health disorder.
Right, but it messes with your day. And I think anything that takes away from the minutes that you have in your day is just like, if it's not positive, it's not coming from a positive place, not good. You know what I mean? So I am one that I haven't been in therapy. I think for a long period of time I would say things like, I don't need therapy. Nothing, happened to me. I had a great childhood growing up. So like I don't feel like I need it. But then as an adult, in the way that I work through things, if something bad happens, I'm like panic. And then it's like, okay, you can relax about it now. But I definitely think that it would be something that would be helpful to me.
Yeah, I think so. Here's my take on it before and now. So
you've been to therapy.
I have been to therapy. I started therapy in 2019, but before that, I've always thought I wanted to go to therapy because I've dealt with anxiety since, I want to say, my first anxiety attack. I was probably like 16, but I dealt with other anxieties, but I didn't know what anxiety was. Pre, it becoming more talked about in our community. Right. I thought I was just hyperventilating and I must be weird because of all of these things, but I didn't know what anxiety or depression really was. But I identified with, certain characters on TV shows like Roseanne's daughter, Darlene. She wore all the black. I identified with her. I loved her. She was my favorite character. Daria, the cartoon character. Like, I identify with these people. Eeyore. Like, I love Eeyore.
But you had a liking for depressed people.
I identify with those people. I didn't know why. I didn't know what it was. But, I was always, it's kind of like you put on the happy face. You keep moving. You don't air your dirty laundry. You keep it moving. Like you're strong. Black women are strong. You have to be strong. You grew up in Maywood. You tough. Right. So it's like you have all that. Now I'm like, so I could have been doing this.
Right. Yeah, because there's strength. There's strength in you even telling that story. My first anxiety attack, and I'm like, same feeling. I was like, what the heck is this? What's going on? But it just felt like all the emotions just built up, and it was coming out, and it was pouring out, and I was talking fast, and I called my dad, and my dad literally talked me off the ledge. And I don't even know if he remembers that story. I was gonna share that story on our Father's Day episode, which is a really good episode that you guys should go watch.
Yes, go watch the Father's Day.
If you haven't seen it,
yes,
check it out.
If you have not seen it, check out that episode. But didn't know what was going on, and my father is not a therapist, but he was able to talk me through that. You know what I mean? Something that I didn't even realize what was going on. And can you imagine other people going through that, sharing that similar story, and not even necessarily knowing what it is, but you're not being able to process kind of what's going on. So I've had that bout of anxiety followed by a long term of depression too.
Yeah. And great thing you had somebody. There's a lot of people who don't have anybody that they could call and talk them down. You know what I mean? So that's the thing.
Yeah. That's a good time to kind of seek that therapy and know that you're not crazy. You're going through things that a lot of people just put in their back pocket or keep very quiet about, and it's like hush hush, and we won't say what happened then and there. But I'm definitely learning that share these things, they help someone, you know. So yes, definitely always seek help if you don't have somebody to talk to, and therapy is okay. Yeah,
therapy is I think more than okay. I think it's useful. It's helpful. It's something we all probably could benefit from.
Yeah.
I was encouraged to talk to a therapist after getting my cancer diagnosis, which I didn't take heed to it right away. I was like, kind of felt like, well, how is this going to help me or whatever. But when I did go ahead and accept the recommendation or whatever to have the therapy, before we even got to the cancer diagnosis, there was like other issues that really became more prevalent than the cancer diagnosis. But it was helpful to, just talk through whatever.
It's funny how when you start going to therapy, that other things pop up. You're like, wait a minute, I'm not here to talk about that.
Yeah, because the podcast has done that for me. Sometimes I'll sit back and I'll watch the replay, and I'll catch something that I said, or I'll catch something that I like looked at y'all like, and I'll catch myself. So I'm taking it all in, but I'm coming out a different person every single time, and not this drastic change, but I'm definitely seeing things like, hey, you need to update this and change this about yourself, and maybe you should give this some thought, so therapy, I'm sure, would have to be helpful. So I think I might seek me out a therapist.
I mean, even if you use your EAP, so for people who don't know, a lot of employers have EAP, and that stands for
Employee Assistance Program.
That. So, and then typically with EAP, it'll give you five free sessions.
It depends on your employer. It could be anywhere from 3. I've seen it as little as three free sessions. Say that fast. 3 times. Up to 12 free sessions. So anywhere between 3 and 12 is what I've seen.
12? I need that.
CPS is giving out 12 probably because it's a lot working with CPS. But but yeah. So whatever your employer's employee assistance program allows for, or even your regular health benefits has coverage for therapy. So but definitely
seek that out. So if your employer, or if you think that your employer might not offer that as a benefit, check, because they probably do. And if they do, I think that also is a big reason why people don't seek therapy. They don't know that they might get those 3 free sessions. They don't know that it might be as accessible.
I don't think a lot of people know that. I honestly don't. I didn't know that until I needed to.
Yes, EAP is a very underutilized benefit that employers have. It's low cost to the employer, but employees don't tap into. A lot of times it's not really promoted. And I think sometimes employees feel like, well, then my employer is going to know I'm seeking therapy. So it's not like even if there's some metrics that let them know that people are using the program, they don't know they don't know what service you're getting or what you're talking to the therapist about.
I tell you, like, this because I'm talking this into existence. This job has this hold over my life, and I cannot move because they might think and they might do. If you have an inkling of feeling of that, I pray for everybody, but these jobs do not run your life. Like, they do not.
I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
Because you guys know the story. I don't care about sharing. When my husband was ill, we didn't know what was wrong with him. He would, have to go to the hospital. I have to leave work, or I have to call off, or, whatever the case may be. And I made my immediate manager aware of it, and she was very gracious. Love her. She was so cool about it. But it was her manager who was given the pushback and the issue, to the point where they I went to talk to HR, and I had scheduled a meeting with her, and she said, well, you need to plan this out better. And I said, how do I plan my husband getting into an ambulance and going to the hospital? I don't know how to plan that. I don't want him to. I just want you to know I don't want him to do that. He don't want to do that. I don't know how to plan for that.
I literally have to seek therapy due to what you went through in that time frame. It was so infuriating.
Yes. So these people, I just want to say this, and then I'll just talk. These people will replace you. They don't care. Right. When I came back to work after he passed, there was a write-up waiting for me because I had missed all these days dealing with his illness that we didn't know about, and I could have kicked the desk over, and I promptly quit. Not too long.
That was completely horrible, unacceptable. Shame on you, employer. Because I mean, that's just like, you're just a number. You're just a body. You're just there as a worker bee. They care less about you as an individual person, which. It's horrible.
And not that I'm saying that every employer is that way.
No.
It's just that it's so important to, in any situation I think that you're in, with your children, in your marriage, friendships, work, think about yourself first.
Yes.
Put yourself first, and then work around everything else that you have going on in your life. Because without you, then what is left?
Yeah.
So I just think that I think the last couple of years has just taught me the importance of thinking about me first.
I always say this saying. It's when you get on a plane, and nobody pays attention to this. I do, but a lot of people are just talking on the phone. The stewardess will get on and give you all the instructions, and they'll say, when this pop down, when this oxygen mask pop down, put yours on first before you help anybody else.
Right.
And I'm going to put my own oxygen mask first, because if you're not whole as a person, how do you be a good mom? How do you be a good wife? How do you be a good employee? How do you be a good citizen if you're not well?
Yeah. I know a lot of people have said too, like, if you don't love yourself, then how can you truly love me? If you don't love yourself, what are you pouring at this point?
You're pouring from an empty pitcher.
You're pouring from an empty pitcher. So yes, I it's so important. And therapy is, even though I have not done it yet, it is a form of self-care.
Absolutely.
Have you guys ever, being Black women, felt the Superwoman syndrome?
Yes.
Like they say that women between the ages of 18 to 82, Black women.
Wow,
Black women. That's all of us.
What a range.
18 to 82.
Kids from 1 to 92.
Not to 82.
To 82. Wow. Who identify as a strong Black woman and also agree with self-silencing or repressing feelings, experience greater depressive symptoms.
Wow.
I feel as though, have you guys ever felt like, oh, I'm a strong Black woman, I'm strong?
Yeah, at so much to the point where it set me all the way down.
Okay.
It set me all the way down. Like, yeah, you're gonna take a seat. Because I was in this mode of I have to prove everything. I have to prove something to everyone. The graphic design world is a very heavily male dominated group, right? So I've been I would design something, and they would assume that the man did it. Like, oh, okay, that's nice over there, but what you did, what the man did, that's nice. And it's like, no, Shelly did that. I've been in situations where even in the graphic design world where the man got the job. You know what I'm saying? It's just it comes with the stigma. And with that, having my own business, there's so many other things that I'm also responsible for. But I think it was maybe our first episode or our second episode. I was like, I can do everything. And you were like, no, you can't. And it was like this point that I kept trying to prove. It's like, no, I can do it. No, I can't do it. Until God just sat me down and was like, yeah, so there's a chance that you might not be able to see,
Oh, dang, I'm laughing at the right part.
No, there's a chance that you might not be able to sit down somewhere. Like staying up until or celebrating these. I was up until 3:00 in the morning. My auntie Vanessa would always be like, you always so tired. All you post on social media is that you're tired. And it would essentially be because I was tired, but I think I was also celebrating the fact that I'm up late and I'm doing all these designs and I'm getting all this work done, and I'm a mom too, and I'm going here, I'm hanging out with my friends as well. And it's like, girl, sit down. Who are you trying to prove this point to? So yes, I have definitely dealt with the Superwoman. I am me here, me more.
What about you, Deonna?
So I think, I don't know, maybe some of it is self-imposed, but I think also the world, of to be a white woman. And the very first thing she said to me was like, let's just address the elephant in the room from hello. You're a Black woman. Like, okay. And she said, being Black in America, at least, along with its own PTSD. Mm-hmm. Like, we all suffer from PTSD just from its sheer utterance of being born Black in America. Mm-hmm. And at first I was like, I don't know, where's this going? If it, you know, if I'm gonna really vibe with this lady or not. But she turned out to be fine. She was great. So yeah, I think she said it herself. Like, Black women have always been depicted as being strong. You know, we were taking care of kids in slavery, the master's kids, and having relationships with the masters and all these different things, and still, you know, being very productive. And white women were treated and received as being like a weaker vessel, and it being okay for them to be weak and for them to be more like damsel in distress. We weren't looked at as dainty and, you know.
Do you think that there's still that going on, but in a sense where to like put a little ownership of on yourself? Do you sometimes feel like you have to be strong? Like, I gotta be strong.
I think in corporate America, whatever, we feel like we have to be 10 times better than our non-Black counterparts in order to be recognized, to get promoted, to advance. And in that sense, it's, you know, it's somewhat true. Like, we feel like there isn't much room for error. I think,
which is that's hard to carry.
It's very hard. I have been in roles. I think we were having this discussion, an employer I was at for 13 and a half years, where I literally kept applying for roles, and they were like, oh, if you do these things, well, think about it, and then I'll do the things. You know, they have you on these position development plans. I'll do the things. And then it's like, well, and then I got passed up so many times for different roles, most of the time by men. Till it got to the point where it's like, what else do I have to prove? And strengths in me that I thought were strengths were looked at as negative items. But if a man carried those things, if a man is strong, if a man knows the answers to things, if he was very tough, immediate manager, immediate promotion, immediate this, because he's no nonsense. But I'm, on the other hand, is the B word, or I'm aggressive because I'm a Black woman. I'm aggressive, or I'm the angry Black woman versus assertive. So I carried PTSD into other roles where it's like, okay, now in this job, I'm not going to speak up at all. I'm not going to say anything, because if I say something, then I'm going to be looked at. But then me being quiet,
you're darned if you do. You're darned if you don't.
Which, do you guys think that that's also a reason why we went into business, to kind of take away, because for me it is, taking away all of the, well, she's quiet and she didn't say anything, or she's strong and maybe she's too strong. She's outspoken, but maybe it's a little too much. I feel like that was a big reason why I wanted to become my own boss, because I don't have these. I'm not gonna bring that into our business, nor am I going to, of course, put that title upon myself.
Right. I think for me, like, one, besides that, I've always wanted to be a business owner. But two, I at some point, I think in my 20s, I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to work, because I'm just too work with people, but working for people might be a little tough. So, but also, just for things, I feel as though a lot of us are bred. What are you upset about? Like, just power through life and just work and do these things and just keep going. So being
I hope my mom is not mad at me for saying this, but back to that story with my dad. I initially called to talk to her. She couldn't handle. She was like, I gotta give you your father, to handle this, because she is so strong. She is so, my mom is different, but she is such a strong person that it was kind of like, let me allow him to help her get through this, which I'm glad that she did.
So currently I'm having probably the best corporate job experience. I've been in other corporate environments where I was, misjudged. Like if I was quiet, I was deemed unapproachable. And on the other side of that, but I do know.
You love Deonna.
I know.
Time I started, I have a colleague who's have set of people that she worked with, she did mesh well with, and then that kind of follows you. So if there's buzz in the office that you're not easy to work with, or that you're not approachable, then that kind of sets the tone. Just like if there's key people in the office that do like you, everybody else, sometimes I think whether they actually like you or not, it's been put in their mind that you're likable.
Right.
So whether they know you or not, if they've heard your name and heard good things about you, it's like, oh, she's plugged, or she's part of the clique, whatever. But if you're just the opposite, then it kind of come along and work with, they're like, oh, I heard about her,
Right.
So then it's like you're constantly trying to prove yourself and get others to like you and buy in that you are.
I think that causes trauma as well. So in this study, it said Black women only use mental health services at a rate of 10.3% compared to 21.5%.
I thought it would be much higher.
I did too. Women. I thought it would be higher. I feel like
we got some prejudice too of what we think.
Yeah, we do. Okay.
Because I feel like they're more open about it. They're we're becoming more open about it, but they're more open about it. Like they'll talk about the medication that they're on.
Yeah.
I experienced that at work. And I'm like, wait, girl, you telling me about your stuff?
I had those experiences too. Where information was credit scores. I'm not sharing that. It's just funny, what some people are willing to share.
Oh, some people will tell you everything. Yeah.
So they're more open about sharing them being in therapy and what they're feeling and the medication. I've been on antidepressants for 10 years, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say.
Still on them, then
earlier, I wanted to know what you guys thought about this. What a Black woman was talking about how she sought her therapy instead of getting a therapist through church. She was like, well, I was kind of grown. What has been you guys' experience with seeking out?
I think church can be therapeutic, but it's not necessarily the same thing as going to therapy.
Yeah.
But there are some therapeutic aspects, like hopefully whatever the pastor, minister, preacher, whatever they're saying, hopefully it resonates with your situation and can be inspiring or uplifting and things like that. But it also is beneficial to talk to someone specifically about what you're going through. So I think, if anything, best case scenario is to pair the two, go to church and therapy. Like there's no
that was the therapist's suggestion that was
like it's mutually exclusive. Like just do both.
Put it all in the basket and take it with you.
It's not. I'd rather get more help than not enough. You know what I mean?
It's not one
because
or the other.
Because I think that church will attack it via the spiritual aspect of things. And I think therapists will get down to like the emotional nitty gritty,
And some of those lines cross too. There are therapists who are Christian or whatever religion that you practice, and they can mirror. I mean, they can infuse the theological side of things with the strictly clinical side of things. Like there are intersections between the two. So.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that's another thing that was likely part of like Black culture is
get it here. It's not necessary for you to take it anywhere other than this place.
Go to church.
So I mean, it was definitely part of some folks' theology that if you go to therapy, you must not believe in your religious. But that's just old way of thinking, right? Best case scenario is to do all the things, and some spiritual leaders, pastors, or whatever, actually also have counseling
therapists.
degrees. Yeah.
Yes.
Some of them aren't there. I mean, they all should have the ability to counsel, but some of them actually have degrees in that too. So they intersect as well.
I know a few pastors who have therapists.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so
yeah, absolutely.
Nobody is above getting a therapist.
My therapist had a therapist, so you know, therapists, they have therapists too. Like,
yeah. I mean, and like going back to what we said in the beginning, it doesn't have to always be these big grand things. It could be, I'm dealing with stress. How do I manage my stress better? How do I deal with this situation in my marriage? How do I deal with this situation with my family? You know, it doesn't have to be, I'm depressed and can't get out the bed. You know, it could be small things. How do I deal with work stress? You know,
and some therapists, I think the reason why they're good at what they do is because they have also had, you know, clinical mental health issues. Like, what better way to tell you how to cope and how to deal than to say, I'm a person who suffers from depression and anxiety, and this is how I maneuver. Like, it doesn't have to be where you can't have control and, you know, live a productive life if you manage it and do things properly. So
yep. Sometimes life can just totally get out of control when you forget about yourself. So seek therapy if needed. And even if you feel like you don't, you just want to do the popular thing. I'm like, y'all got therapy.
be on trends.
Be on trends. Be on trends, sis. Like, don't lax on yourself. And, you know, it's always somebody out there to talk to.
Yeah, and then, you know, if the first person you go to ain't the right fit for you, move on.
Yeah.
Tell that story.
The first therapist I went to, I did this. I wanted someone who looked relatable. I don't know if I was just picking people who I felt comfortable talking to, because I was like Googling them, looking at their pictures, like, I can't see me sitting across from this person talking to them.
Which is why they have those pictures.
Yeah. So I started going to my first therapist, and I felt like she just wasn't for me. Like, I could relate to her being a Black woman, but I didn't feel like I was getting help, you know, the help that I needed. So I just stopped going, but I knew I needed help.
Yeah.
So I eventually ended up Googling another, you know, therapist, and my second therapist loved her. And she, you know, I'm initially like, oh, I want somebody to be Black, but she was actually an Indian woman, and I loved her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I felt like she related to me. She was a little bit younger, but still close enough where she could relate to what I was going through. Best relationship ever.
Wow, that's great.
So even now we still text each other. She left the practice that I'm still at. And, you know, once we're able to hook back up, girl, I'm back because I loved her. Yeah, I felt like she helped me through so much, and she would challenge me and like ask questions that I wouldn't even think about, you know, and be like, wait, what? Oh, that's the reason why I think like that or feel this way or whatever the case may be. So don't be afraid to find somebody else. Shop around.
So I think one of the things that kept me off from seeking therapy initially is probably, I don't know where, mostly I probably saw it on TV or whatever. I felt like therapists just ask you questions, and I'm like, well, how is that going to help me? Because I don't want you to just say, even if they say, what do you want to talk about? You start talking, and then they start saying things like, well, why do you think that? Or why do you feel that way? Like, that's why I'm here. So you can tell me why I feel this way.
I'll never forget a job that I was at one time in my life. It'd be really easy to find out what job this is, but a job that I was at, and I had this boss, and he was just like a therapist. He would ask you questions, and we would always say, why do you ask us these questions? We want to help and solve these problems, but you're asking us questions back. And they would help. they would help, because his thing was, let me get you thinking. Let me get you thinking about the who, why, what, when, where. And I think that's why the podcast has also been extremely helpful, because you guys ask me questions. Bianca will ask questions like, but Shelly, why
been hanging out with the therapist?
Yes.
So now she's become the therapist.
Yes. And sometimes I'm like, I don't want to talk about why I feel the way that
this question doesn't even matter.
I just want to dig deeper. I'm just doing a check. I'm just checking. Like, is this? Are you doing these things because you're hiding from something, or are you?
You need to check in on your strong friends. People be acting like they okay, but deep down they don't be okay. Sometimes I would rather be the person asking you than to find out something bad happened to you because I didn't ask. I wouldn't be able to sleep with that. If I know I did everything that I could, I mean, there's nothing else to be said.
And this is where we say thank you.
And you're welcome. Thank you for being a friend.
So can I throw out some more stuff to you guys? Do we have time? Okay, so how to say no to your friends without feeling guilty about it. So question. How do you guys say no without feeling guilty with your friends?
So I definitely was a person who had the disease to please. I used to say yes more than I should, but I think probably around my late 30s or so, I was like, sometimes I'm gonna say no. Okay. So if there's something that I just either can't do physically, don't want to do, have other obligations, I don't feel bad about saying no.
Yeah, not me, Bianca.
I just say no.
Yeah.
I'm just like, nah.
I'm learning to say no. I'm learning to be like, look, big lesson for me I struggle with, and this is why I definitely need to seek a therapist, but I aim to please everybody. I want everybody around me happy, and then you're sacrificing yourself, in that happiness. So I'm learning that these people will still love you, if you say no, and you're protecting yourself by doing so.
But here's the deal. Here's the gotcha. If you don't say no and you're unhappy, you're not making other people around you happy. Right. I'm going to tell you why. Because it's going to come out in other ways. Yeah. And then the other people are confused, like, well, what's wrong with her? Yeah. And it's because you didn't say no.
I have a lot of confused people.
Just say no.
Not a lot. A little handful. And yes, I do not. I am not arguing with you.
Yeah, the making of people happy does what for you?
Absolutely,
you're unhappy.
Yeah.
Back to the mask. Put your mask on first.
Yeah, when I tell you God set me down, I will never in my lifetime extend myself so much that it's affecting me and everybody else around me. Like, it's just, and hopefully that helps somebody, but it's so important to love on you. And I've learned my lesson.
Yeah.
So have you guys hung up your cape on perfectionism?
It is semi-retired. No, I'm gonna be honest. I think it's a hard thing to give up. I think that, after I started going to therapy, I rejected the word strong. It makes me angry.
You talked about that in the episode before that.
Tell me I'm strong. I don't want to hear that. So I reject the strong, I'm a superwoman cape, but sometimes still, I feel like I need to do it. If I don't, who's gonna do it?
Yeah, because would you rather so if not strong, would you rather be called or Bianca is so light and fluffy and cuddly and kissy? Because that's what I get a lot. Shelly is so bubbly and she da 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 da.
I don't be that either. I would be like
I'm just normal. I don't feel like I don't have to be. I don't have to be superhuman because
right.
I don't like for people to be like, oh, you're so whatever. Yeah. Nor do I have to, I don't want to be seen as being weak and docile either. Yeah. So
or like
I'm fine with
just distress.
Yeah, I'm fine with just being
Deonna.
Average.
I was gonna say I'm just fine with being Shelly.
Yeah,
what
Deonna,
that encompasses, because I think I am learning if they get the real me, and when they do, they, everybody loves me. So
yeah,
I mean, I would like
everybody love me.
Everybody love me. I think it's important just to give people who you are, so there's no, hey, this is me.
Yeah,
this is it. This is what you're gonna get. Love it or hate it.
Yeah.
Or be indifferent about it. It just is what it is.
I think I'm comfortable with me. I do want other people to be comfortable with me. I think there was a weird space, like when I first went back to work, people who knew about my diagnosis, they didn't know like if I was coming back as the old me, if there was going to be some new dynamic.
And for our new viewers, let them know what that diagnosis was.
So in December 2020, yeah. Mm-hmm. I was diagnosed with breast cancer, went through the whole 20 weeks of chemo and surgery and all that. I was away from the job for like 7 months. Sorry. And when I went back, I think people didn't know what to say, so they just didn't say anything to me. So that was like, okay. So I was
share an awkward story. It's like, what?
Yeah.
All those people need therapy.
They didn't know what to say. They didn't say anything. My employer was very supportive and, told me to take as much time as I wanted and all that stuff. But when I first got back to work, I think they was also afraid to actually give me work. Wow. So it was like I was back at work, but my boss's boss at the time basically told everybody, like, leave her alone. So it was like I was at work and not working. Wow. And nobody was talking to me. I was like, do I work here?
Stop being so weird.
Right. It was just a weird, awkward time, but I think now everybody's like,
people are weird, and I used to get angry at people because I kind of went through that a little bit when my husband passed. People don't know, so you'll see people looking at you, and I'll be looking back like, "What are you looking at?" They're like, "Hey,"
right, and I felt compelled to like break the ice, so yeah. I was like, I think sometimes I was saying things in a humorous way to just like make people laugh, to try to like get past this awkward space. I'm like, I said stuff like, "Hey, I chose I'm like, well, this was a bad situation, but the good thing that come out of bad situations is like this is you get to pick your own parts. So I'm picking my new parts. I'm going smaller, this, and that. Yeah. Like some kind of way to right. I think that's something that people can't help. They know that you have breast cancer. They have to look. And they try not to look. But I'm like,
there's some lookers without the cancer, so I'm like, what's up with that?
But I think people are just curious.
People are curious, but it's okay. I think when you leave that door open and let them know that it's okay, which I know that you did, and people still don't know how to open the door. They're fumbling over the door. So.
Right, because some people tell you things that you don't want to know, and it's like, how is this helpful to me?
Yes.
This man came to my house to try to sell us new windows, right? And at the time, I think I was still in treatment. And I was like, I didn't want to make a commitment to a large purchase. And I initially said, just like come back in a few months or whatever. And I think, I don't know, somehow my husband ended up telling the sales guy that I was going through cancer treatment. He didn't know what to say. He completely threw him off from his presentation. But then he started telling me, oh, my grandmother had...
I hate it.
She had this cancer and that cancer, and it spread to her eye and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this is not helpful.
Hold your story, sir.
Don't need it. I think people try to. And I get it. People try to relate to you. Yeah. But when your story ends in doom and disaster, like, don't share.
Might not be the story.
Don't share that one. Because now I'm sitting here thinking about it like, what if it pressed my eye?
Right. I think these conversations help people not to don't do that. Like think about what you're gonna walk up to somebody and say, and if you can't handle it, don't go. I shouldn't say don't go walk up to the person, but if you can't handle it, then go work on you and then try to come back.
I had somebody tell me, and she's a really good person, but she was like, my husband passed away in 2019. She was like, yeah, my aunt's husband passed away, and then a year later she had a nervous breakdown and had to be in the hospital. It's not funny. She had to be in a mental health hospital for some months.
So you
And now I'm up at night looking at the sky like, damn.
I'm gonna lose my mind.
Look at how God worked. God made her come tell you that story so you can make sure you don't end up in nobody's facility.
I was like, oh my God. I'm talking to my therapist like, do I need to is this gonna happen to me? She's like, no. Unless you wanted to. Do you think you need to be hospitalized? I was like, no.
Oh, God, that is a good point, though. That's a good point. You're in control.
Right. So to all the people out there who get awkward when people
go to traumatic experience, go get a therapist.
Or just say, I'm sorry to hear that.
I have a relatable story I can relate. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope things get better for you. I'm here if you need someone to talk to.
Or I'm praying for you or something.
Let's grab lunch. You don't have to talk about the traumatic experience.
Right. Don't add additional traumatic trauma to somebody else's experience.
I didn't need that.
Yes, I'm sure.
But we extend grace to those who mean
yeah.
well.
Absolutely.
They mean well.
At the time, I was like,
why are you
doing this stupid ML saying this dumb stuff to me? What's wrong with it?
Yeah, I just wanted the window guy to leave. Like, look, we're not buying
it's
windows.
So dumb.
Just go away.
Did you think about what you were saying? Did you think about it?
That's the point. They did not think.
I think he got in too deep and he couldn't stop.
And you see the train going. I'm like, ooh, just stop right there. Ooh, just stop right there. And they just keep with the story. And so you like, I end up giving people the crickets. I just like, when they're doing the story,
like, where do we go from here? After you tell me your grandma ended up having 5 sequential types of cancer until she died, how do we get back to the windows?
Right.
So, windows. No. Have a great day. No, thank you.
Oh God. Do you guys think that it's a good idea to tell people at the time, or is it you can't because of maybe what got said? Like, could you have not told the window guy?
I think we could have, but I think he was wondering, like, what's the mystery? Because I kept saying, well, now's not a good time, or we could revisit this in a few months. So, a salesperson too, they always feel like if you give them something to rebut, they're going to rebut.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is it? Is it the cost? We can do this type of financing plan, or this, and that. And so if they keep pressing, I thought, saying, well, right now I'm going through chemo and I just don't want to take on a large expense, should have been a good
stopping point.
I would have as a salesperson.
But he felt like he had to say something, probably because of his sales training. So he started telling me about dear old grandma.
Girl. Not grandma.
The trainer probably was like, tell the story about your grandma.
Did you hear the way that story ended? And you think I'm buying windows? No, I'm good. But so don't be weird. That's the moral to that story. Don't be weird. Be sure to seek therapy if you need it.
Yes.
Don't be afraid. It is okay to bounce things off your family and friends and clergymen, whatever, but it's okay to get therapy as well. It is quite all right. So
utilize those benefits.
Yeah. And guys, if you want to share any, you don't have to share any intimate details with us, but any, tips for people or
your
ideas,
thoughts on therapy.
Yeah.
Are you for or against therapy? Have you had therapy? Would you be open or willing to?
Add it to the comments.
Yeah.
We'll definitely,
we would love to hear about it.
Love to hear about it and respond back. And you might end up on your question. May end up on a future episode. Possibly.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
all right, it has been a good time. Therapeutic time. Just dealing with all the things that life brings our way.
Yes, it's a lot.
It's a lot, but we get to it.
Mostly good things. Mostly good.
Yes.
Great.
The good always outweighs the bad.
Yes.
So. And because of the bad, we can greatly appreciate the good. So.
Yeah. That part. I'm gonna shoot my imaginary gun.
So thanks again for tuning in to this episode of What's Brewing, Sis? And keep it brewing.
Keep it brewing. Bye, guys. Thank you so much for joining.